Today is November 8, 2013 at Cutter Morningstar School in Miss Justy's Gifted and Talented Classroom. I'm here with Major George Phillips.
Heard me.
What were you doing before entering the service?
Well, I told you, I was a shipping clerk in a restaurant supply place, waiting to become 21 so I could go into the Army. I wanted to make a career in the Army.
Did you have any specialized training?
For what? For the military?
Yes.
Well, I had 3 years of ROTC and 3 summers at the Cavalry camp and did the 10 series Army extension. That's what you had to do to get a commission, unless you went to college and through ROTC program in college. That's what I did. I could do it. I didn't have any money to go to college.
What was it like adapting to the military life?
Well, I thought it was great. You know, I mean, I was an officer in the military, and I got good assignments, general staff jobs. You know, I was way up in the military organization with a phone to Eisenhower's staff. You know.
What was it like in your first day of service?
Well, you see, this first day where this sergeant offered me a job in the post office at reserve headquarters, they sent me down to Chattanooga to get a physical and all my uniforms. So my first day, I guess, was going to get my uniform and getting a physical and getting on the train and coming home. That's all it was, because the job was in a reserve headquarters. It wasn't out in a combat unit. You know, I had plenty of time for combat units later. This is why I was in that reserve headquarters as an enlisted man.
Did you witness any action?
Nope. The nearest I came to action after that Japanese sub came and shelled the beach below our camp in California. The next week, I was given 15 minutes training to be an artillery observer. I was still a second lieutenant. They sent me out on the beach right below where that Jap shelled the beach in a little phone booth, and I had a pistol, a telephone, and some field glasses. And they trained me for about 15 minutes on how to direct artillery fire on the Japanese if they landed. And that instruction was that first I would tell them to fire a shot. I had artillery battery behind me. They'd fire one shot out maybe 1,000 yards in front of me, and I'd say you're 100 yards right or 200 yards left, or 200 yards too far, and I'd keep firing one shot until they got it right on the target. And then I'd say fire for effect, and they'd fire all their guns. And then I was directed, artillery to move in right up until it was on top of me. Well, if it landed, I would have died that night, directing artillery tire. But that's the closest I got getting shot. They didn't land. That sub went away, and they did decide not to land there. But that's the closest I got to getting shot.
What was your highest rank or branch in service?
I told you, Major Cavalry was my highest rank.
What was it like adapting to the military life, physical regimen, barracks, food, and social life?
What was it like, the physical? Well, you know, when I was down in the tank company, be a tank company manager, you were doing exercise. But of course, in the armored division, you have to learn to drive tanks, and you have to learn to fire the guns, and you spend a lot of time on pistol range and on the rifle range, and you learn to fire a machine gun from a half track while it's moving at a target, and you learn to shoot all the guns and tear your gun down and take care of it. You learn all the skills necessary to do your job well, whatever it is. I mean, I had 28 company clerks, and when I was a personnel adjutant, and when I was a general staff officer, I just had a sergeant major and at a high-level general staff. I didn't write any letters. I mean, I would write them, but somebody else would type them and sign them. They'd sign them over the general signature. That's the way it is on the general staff.
How long did you serve?
Well, I served 6 years and 6 months on active duty, and another 14 years in the reserves as a reserve officer.
Thank you for coming here and spending your time on this interview.
Thank you all
for
for
us.
listening to me.